Eric Maskin and Amartya Sen have the two great economists become exponents of hindsight and Bayesian bias? Have they become experts in subjectivity and conjecture? Amartya Sen won the Nobel in Economic Science in 1998 for his contribution to social choice. Hear me again, social choice and welfare economics. Eric Maskin won the Nobel in Economic Science in 2007 for his expertise in mechanism design. And here, mechanism design involves structures, components, and mathematical rigor that goes on to define the relationships. Both are professors at Harvard University. I'm none of these. I'm Gopal and Ramachandran, Ramach to my friends. This article was published on April 28, 2016. How Majority Rule Might Have Stopped Donald Trump, written by Eric Maskin and Amartya Sen. Eric Maskin and Amartya Sen hold the normative view that the Trump candidacy is not legitimate for the non-Trump vote is greater than 50%. For the Trump candidacy to be legitimate, it ought to have a for Trump vote greater than 50%, and that's exactly what the majority rule means. And what this suggests, therefore, is a coalition of other candidates. And let's look at the list here in ascending order of the anti-vote. Mr. Donald Trump has the least percentage of anti-votes at 60.3%, and then the number rises all the way to 99.99. Eric Maskin and Amartya Sen want a coalition of those with more anti-votes than Donald Trump so that Donald Trump can be stopped. Which means what? It doesn't matter what your popular vote is, so long as you can ally with somebody else who's got a greater anti-vote, then you're fit to form a coalition in order to stop Mr. Donald Trump. It doesn't also matter whether you are in the race or you're withdrawn. Consider the strange case of Miss Carly Fiorina, who is withdrawn from the race, yet she finds herself in a ticket suggested by Senator Ted Cruz as a vice presidential nominee. So staying on in the race is not important. Stay away so long as you're not Donald Trump. If you're staying in the race and if you're Donald Trump, then the world will be divided into the Trump world and the non-Trump world. This is an insult to plurality. What this means is others like Senator Rand Paul did not seek the candidacy for their own interest in serving America. They were there either as those that could ultimately belong to the Trump camp or the non-Trump or anti-Trump camp. This is not a great way to promote social choice. You would particularly find this repugnant if we turn our attention to clothes, cheese, cars, bicycles, films, airlines, and universities. America offers great choice. Some people go to some university of their choice and some others elsewhere, but yet Eric Maskin and Amartya Sen would probably want the university world to be divided into the Harvard world and the non-Harvard world. It's also probable that they want America to be similar to China and Russia, where you have the ruling communist elite on one side and those against it on the other side. This is exactly what they have when they suggest that the Republican candidacy should be divided into the Trump world and those against it. Your identity and your individuality do not any longer matter. The same lunge towards majority will devastate the aspirations of Senator Ted Cruz and Governor John Kasich if two other authors thought that the American Republican world could be divided into the Cruz world and the non-Cruz world, or the Kasich world and the non-Kasich world. Eric Maskin and Amartya Sen have expressed their discomfort and rage only because Donald Trump is a Republican and is ahead in the race to be the Republican nominee. He's done this, he's accomplished this with the help of his supporters and voters. Eric Maskin and Amartya Sen have lived with the system for a very long time. Consider the Democratic Party primaries in 2008 and 2004. They were not done deals, and this idea could have been tested out then, but why now? Eric Maskin and Amartya Sen now turn to a plagiarized model that involves ranking the candidates using yes, somewhat no, and many other shades in between. Consider their example. Now that the Republican list has been whittled down to 3, they have an example that comprises Mr. Donald Trump, Governor John Kasich, and Senator Ted Cruz, and they got a couple of combinations here. They've got 2 arguments here, one on the left and one on the right based on ranking. On the left, Mr. Donald Trump gets the most in the context of popular vote, which they find very disgusting. On the right, they have a ranked stuff, and here the authors do not disguise their admiration for Governor Kasich, and then they say Kasich wins. That's okay. But the point is, this method, this plagiarized model, lacks simplicity, because if you had a field of 12, as the New Hampshire primary had soon after the Iowa caucus, moreover, the New Hampshire primary allots delegates proportionately. So the electorate, the Republican electorate, may have been interested in ranking all 12 of them. You should have then been a genius and a mathematician to complete the ranking. And what would the result be? Not reliable at all. After you've done all the ranking and the weighting, you could yet have a tie among some candidates, or a winner that Eric Maskin, Amartya Sen, and a dead Markey may not like. The third gentleman here is a source of this particularly nice model. The majority system might have stopped Donald Trump, but its might to stop Donald Trump might be too little. It's all conjecture. The majority system might entertain you, me, and the 2 Nobel laureates that teach at Harvard University, but beyond it, it lacks utility, simplicity, and reliability. Of course, the plagiarized model lacks originality. The Marquis lived between 1743 and 1794, and that's when the United States Constitution was being written. Had this model been very good, they would have incorporated it. Moreover, there have been 27 ratified amendments since then, and none of the amendments really went about accepting this idea of majority rule through ranking. The majority rule suggested by Eric Maskin and Amartya Sen is a reaction to their personal discomfort with Donald Trump. This is similar to what a leader of a junta would say soon after deposing a legitimately elected ruler or leader, stating that the Constitution needs to be rewritten. Of course, there is freedom of speech in what Eric Maskin and Amartya Sen have written and said, but this is also free of and free from objectivity, utility, simplicity, and reliability. Their article is a subjective reaction to the rise of Mr. Donald Trump. This video was recorded on the 2nd of May 2016, a day before the Republican primary in Indiana. Feedback on my terms at gmail.com. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'm Ramach.